Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
A very, very warm welcome to you wherever you are in the world. My name is Philip Sykes, for those of you who do not know me, and I have the privilege of presenting Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire. We run this once or twice a month over this amazing USA Global TV platform and other channels. And I have had the privilege of meeting our actual guest who's joining us in the studio today, Mr. Anthony Bennett. I met him 6 weeks ago at my son's wonderful speech day. He gave the most beautiful delivery. He gave a beautiful delivery to the adults and to the children, and he spoke at such a dynamic level that everyone from the youngest person in the nursery right up to whoever the oldest person in the audience was able to connect and resonate with what Anthony had to share. And my wife Kerry just said, you've got to go and talk to Anthony, and you have to ask him to join you on Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire. And the beautiful thing is he said yes. Now Anthony is someone who is the most wonderful inspirational speaker. He's got 2 decades of public speaking behind him. He, believe it or not, he's lucky to be with us. We're lucky to have him because he's had 12 cardiac arrests and only had 10% survival rate after contracting a string of infections. And that came from a trip to Disneyland in Paris on a bus coming back, by the way. Anthony now shares his incredible knowledge and his journey globally. He brings light to the power of teamwork, saying yes to opportunities and overcoming negative times. In 2015, Anthony was named one of the happiest people in the UK by The Independent on Sunday. And without further ado, I would love to welcome Anthony into the studio.
Thank you very much, Philip. That was such a warm welcome. So thank you very much for having me. And for anyone that's watching, I hope you're having a superbly wonderful day wherever you are.
Boom. Love it, Anthony. Look, our time flies, so I'm going to jump straight in. No nasties, no cuddles, nothing like that. Right, Anthony, I would love you to just give us an understanding and just share your journey on how you overcame these horrendous health challenges. I know there's a long story behind this. We had a lot more time at speech day, but just give people an understanding of how you were lying in the hospital, you were taken in, and off you go. And how did you overcome all of this?
Absolutely. So 2006, I went on a school trip to Disneyland Paris. I felt extremely poorly. So did everybody in the class. Everybody recovered after a couple of days, whereas I began to deteriorate. And like Philip said, 10% chance to survive, 12 times resuscitated. I had to relearn everything from scratch. That's making a fist again, touching my fingertip to my nose, sitting, standing, walking again. But I think the main takeaway that I took away from that journey was when you get stripped of everything you have, not knowing how to do anything and relearning, it allows you to become best friends with yourself. So for example, learning to walk again. I've been walking my whole life. I know how to walk, but my body physically couldn't do it. So in my brain, I'm telling myself, put one foot in front of the other, heel first, and I'm cheering myself on saying, okay, we've done it. Try and focus on balance. Okay, we're getting there. We're pushing further and further. We're getting there. And that way of thinking has just stuck with me till this present day. So by going through the worst thing I've ever gone through in my life, it's allowed me to get on board with myself and actually push myself. And it's given me a more positive outlook in life, for sure.
Wonderful. I love that you really get to know yourself, and that's such a beautiful scenario, because I think a lot of people say, oh sure, I know myself, but I don't think a lot of us actually do. So I love that there was such an amazing affiliation and connection with yourself. And on that particular note, what was one of the most significant sort of turning points in your recovery?
So I wanted to just get back to being myself. And when you're in a state where you can't do things and you're relying on other people to help you, that didn't make me feel good. So I kept trying to push myself to do it myself. And where my lungs were completely infected, they were very, very damaged. The medical team told me that it would take quite a while for my lungs to heal. So when I first left hospital, I had a constant cough. So I'd cough maybe every couple of minutes and bits of dark blood would come up. But the medical team told me that the more I cough this stuff up and out, the more clearer it will become. So I almost saw it as a challenge. How long will it take me before I can cough up and it's clear? So going on that journey, it took me maybe about 6 months. And I remember coughing up and it was clear. And I just had that feeling of, I did it. I'm one step closer. And again, that feeling of I'm one step closer has also stuck with me. So learning to walk again, when I was able to jog, that was a really big step for me. When I learned how to do my first jump with both feet leaving the ground, that was a huge step for me because I physically couldn't do it. So the turning points were when I was able to see myself achieve the things that I was able to do before I was poorly. So that was the main takeaways, is just seeing myself getting better one step at a time. I knew it wasn't going to be a rush process. I knew it was going to take a bit of time, but I allowed myself to go on that long journey rather than trying to look for the quick wins and just get back to me being me within a week. I knew that wasn't going to happen. So it was actually, in the weirdest way, it sounds crazy, but it was quite an enjoyable journey seeing the progress over a period of time.
I love that. So very much a step-by-step process, and not looking at this thing like a tidal wave must have been really something that gave you that opportunity to put literally one foot in front of the other and make that progress. So just phenomenal. And I know that this next question I really want to ask you is maybe an obvious answer to, but I don't think obvious is always that obvious. This particular experience, how did it change your perspective on life and health?
It humbled me. It humbled me because I was very close to not being alive. So having the opportunity to be alive and experience the world again, I started to see things from a different perspective. And I started to notice that from the moment I left the hospital, because I spent 7 weeks staring at a ceiling. I've not looked outside of a window. I've not been outside. So everything felt new and fresh to me. And looking out the window on that taxi ride back to my home after leaving the hospital, I started being just amazed by simple things. I saw a man running for the bus, and I remember just thinking to myself, wow, look at him run. I can't wait till I can do that. And then I saw a woman pushing a buggy, and she stopped and picked up her baby and just had a little moment with her baby. And it really touched me. And I felt what they were feeling. I felt warm and happy inside. So it's changed the way that I see simple things. And I pay attention to the smaller details of life, my day to day. And I always constantly tell myself, life is not a forever thing. It's a temporary experience that will come to an end. So whatever mood I'm in, I always reground myself by just reminding myself, this isn't forever. Is this how I want to feel if this was my last day on earth? And that helps me to stay in a more positive place and be more appreciative to life and to people. I love people now. I love helping people, because when you help people, you see this inner glow come from that person. And I love seeing people believe in themselves or think highly of themselves. So it's allowed me to now step out into the world and want to help people, just purely because it feels good on both sides.
Oh man, I've got goosebumps from head to toe. Really, yeah, just literally saying I want to be able to do that one day, and then just seeing that connection with a baby and a parent, and these are things. It's like you were almost reborn. Which, well, I think we can honestly say that you were over that period of time, 12 times almost. And in that journey, I know you shared some wonderful inroads into the hospital and that sort of thing, and there would have been some amazing people that really were influential in your recovery. And I'd love to, for you to share who those people were and how did they really give you this incredible support?
So the hospital that I was in is a hospital called Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. So it's a world famous children's hospital in London. And what's amazing about this hospital is every member of staff, whether they're a surgeon, whether they're a cleaner, whether they're the admin team, they've got this positivity about them. It's like they've been sprinkled with fairy dust, but they're just so upbeat. And they really know how to speak on your level, whether you're the patient, whether it's your children, whether it's your grandparents. They know how to speak on everybody's level to keep everyone in a good place. And I want to give the biggest shout out to the play teams. A woman called Lizzie, who was my play specialist. And there was one day when I was feeling quite down. I just wasn't feeling myself. And she walked into my room and she noticed that I was a bit down. And she said, "Oh, what's up?" And I said, "Well, I just miss my friends. I'm stuck in hospital. I can't move. I can't do anything. I miss being me and just being out with my friends." And she said, "Oh, do you have this thing called MSN?" So MSN, for people that don't know it, it used to be like a version of WhatsApp on the internet where people can communicate with each other. So I said, "Yeah, I have MSN." And she skipped out of the room and she came back with this trolley which had a computer on it. And she said, "Well, let's log you in and let's have you speaking with your friends." And that absolutely just changed my whole mood. And just seeing that she really cared, paid attention to what was wrong and found a solution. And that's the magical thing about especially the play specialists in this hospital, is they know how to help you. No matter whether you're 18 years old or whether you're a toddler, they know the little things that they could do to just put a smile on your face. So she was one of the main people that I really, really will remember for the rest of my life, just because she was just so great with me and my family during like a very difficult time of our lives.
Oh, Anthony, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Tell me, hospitals, you're obviously very familiar with them, and I know there are lots of people who may not be at hospital, but from my own experience, from your experience, I would say we need to salute all those people that run around, the people
Yeah.
that are ill and things like that. They're challenged with so many curveballs and funding and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
Great Ormond Street Hospital is the most incredible setup. And that leads me to my next question, because they, off the back of you eventually getting out of hospital, they asked you to represent them, didn't they?
They did. So I remember this so clearly. I was in my mum's bedroom. I got the phone call, and it was somebody from the charity at Great Ormond Street. And they said, "Hey, Anthony, just wondering, would you like to share your story with Morgan Stanley?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to." But at that point in my life, being 16, 17 years old, I didn't know who Morgan Stanley were. So Morgan Stanley, they're a big investment banking company, but I didn't know this. I thought Morgan Stanley were two people, Morgan Stanley. So I said yes to this opportunity, and I didn't quite understand what I was getting myself into. So I said to the person on the phone, "Is it just going to be Morgan and Stanley? Is anyone else going to be there? How do you want to do this?" And they said, "You've got this wrong. There's actually going to be 400 people there. It's a big charity event, and we'd love for you to be the guest speaker." So now I was in that predicament of, what do I say? Do I say yes or do I say no? Because my biggest fear, it was speaking in front of people. I absolutely hated it. In school, college, university, you would never catch me at the front of the class presenting. I felt really uncomfortable. I'd rather just sit down and listen to what people were saying. So having that choice of yes or no, my thing is, when you say the word no, nothing changes. You just carry on your day. But when you say the word yes, amazing things could happen. So by me saying yes to that opportunity, facing my fear, I had 1 month to prepare my speech. And every single day I spent about 1 to 2 hours just going over my speech. And what I realized was, the more I went over it and over it, the more I kept getting ideas, thinking, actually, let me put a joke in there. Let me talk about that part. Oh, that can lead to that. And I started to really enjoy the flow of creating a presentation. So when it came to the day of the event, very, very nervous. I was so scared when they announced me to the stage that I had to bring my friend up onto the stage with me. But by getting through that presentation, at the end, I got a big round of applause. And that gave me the most incredible body buzz, that feeling of, I did it. I did it. And then my mind started to go on one, thinking, I wonder if I could do that again. If I were to do that again, how would I do it better? What parts did they enjoy? What parts were people fidgety? Until this day, I'm still always thinking the same thing. How can I do it a little bit better next time? What did people enjoy and what didn't people enjoy? So I actually found my life passion by saying yes to an opportunity where I would have otherwise been very, very afraid of and said no to before. But that one word, that three-letter sound, yes, it absolutely changed the whole course of my life.
Okay, Anthony. So you spoke in front of Morgan and Stanley, 400 of them. And was that it for you? Or did you feel, now, how do I sort of take the next step into, taking this another step further, bearing in mind that you were still fearful of public engagements and public speaking? What was the next trigger that sort of gave you that boost?
So I said to somebody at the charity after that event, I said, if there's any more opportunities, I want to help you. I want to help you raise money for sick children, and I want to build my confidence. So they told me they'll be in touch. They called me, I think it was a couple of years later, and they asked me if I would like to help them win one of their biggest ever charity partnerships worth 7.5 million UK pounds with a company called Whitbread. Now, again, I didn't know who this company were, Whitbread. I thought they were a bakery. So I said, yes or no. If I say no, nothing changes. I carry on my day. If I say yes, amazing things could happen. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, what happens if I mess this up? All these sick children will miss out on 7.5 million pounds because of me. That's a lot of pressure. But that choice was there. If I say no, carry on my day. If I say yes, amazing things could happen. I said yes. Myself and the team from Great Ormond Street's charity went to Whitbread's head office. We done a big presentation and the partnership was won. And then I got approached by two of the managing directors of Whitbread, and they asked me if I'd like to join them and help them raise this money. So now, by saying yes to the opportunity of speaking, I've now got a job offer. And I've never worked in a FTSE 50 company before in my life. So this was very new to me. I'm not very good with Microsoft Excel. I had a lot of self-doubt. But again, yes, no. What do I say? If I say no, carry on my day. If I say yes, amazing things could happen. I said yes, I joined Whitbread, and that took me on a 5-year journey, meeting people from all over the UK, helping to inspire and encourage people to fundraise to help raise this money. And in total, before I left the company, 10 million pounds was raised. So it's been a phenomenal journey. And till this day, the company is still in partnership with Great Ormond Street, and they've raised 25 million pounds. So it's a blessing. It's a pleasure to be a part of that journey. And I'm just very thankful for everybody's involvement, whether it be staff within the company, whether it be guests from the hotels that Whitbread own or the restaurant brands. There was a real sense of teamwork of everybody pulling together for this one cause of helping sick children.
Gee, Anthony, so these two, I would call them large opportunities, really took your fear and gave you a gift and pushed you into a world where you honestly used to tremble about. And now it is your life, it's your occupation, it's something you do weekly, daily. Isn't that just unbelievable? I just find that phenomenal. And I would love to understand where did the penny drop off the back of being with Whitbread and thinking I can take this to another level? When did the penny drop on this journey?
So 5 years into working at Whitbread, I got made redundant, and at the company, they were trying to help everybody find new jobs within the company if you wanted to stay. And I was looking at all of the job titles and reading the titles. I just had no idea what they meant, what would be expected from me. And I just had this doubt of, I don't know if I would really enjoy that, because what I really enjoy is people and helping people. So I had that choice to make. Do I stay within the company and choose a different role, or do I follow this passion of what I really, really started to really enjoy? So I had again that choice. And I've never started a business before. I failed double business in school. So my passion of wanting this to happen so bad, I learned everything I needed to learn on how to start a limited company, what to learn about accountancy, VAT, tax, and this whole sort of world of starting a business. And it was quite exciting because it was very new to me. And I just gave myself this window. So I was given a redundancy package, and I told myself, how long could I survive on this money before I'd need to get a job again? So I gave myself about 3 months. So I told myself, 3 months, I've got to make this work. If I don't make this work, then it's only myself I have to blame. So I stopped going out with friends. I stopped going out partying. I stayed in my bedroom, and I had this big piece of paper, and I just wrote down everything I thought I'd need to start this company. So I would need a website, I would need business cards, and I slowly started to pull it together. And when the business cards arrived, I'm one step closer. I didn't have a lot of money to build a website and get people to do it for me, but what I did have was 3 months worth of time. So I jumped on YouTube. I typed in how to build a website, opened a tab, and I spent about a week just building my own website. But when I built my first website, it was very, very basic because I didn't really have photos of me on stage. I didn't have feedback from people that have seen me speak before. So I had to try and get opportunities out in the world just where I could take photos and get some feedback. So when I asked people if they need a speaker, they're more likely to say yes because they can see what I do. So it was almost like when I left Whitbread, I left this whole bubble of 20,000 people knowing who I was to now being in the open world where nobody knows who I am. So I've got to try and prove myself and push myself out there so I can make this thing work. And I love the challenge of it, of just piecing it all together and making it work. So what I did, I would go onto YouTube, I would type in Healthcare Conferences 2017, Healthcare Conferences 2018. And I'd look for companies that had annual conferences and I'd reach out to them. I'd send them an email or give them a phone call and I'd say, what time of the year do you start looking for speakers? And then I'd put it in my diary and then I'd get back to them closer to the time and I'd just reintroduce myself. And maybe out of every 100 asks I put out there, I'd maybe get 1 or 2 yeses, and that could be paid or it could be unpaid. But I just needed to get myself out there. So when I went to these events, I would just take my really good camera and I'd ask somebody in the audience, do you mind just taking a few photos of me in the audience, just so I can add that to my website and my social media? So then what I found was I'd get more yeses because I had pictures of me in action. And then I needed more feedback. So what I'd do, I'd get pieces of paper and I'll put them on the center of every table at a conference. And at the end of my talk, I would just ask, if anybody has any thoughts or feedback, would you mind just writing on a piece of paper, and I'll collect it at the end. So then after an event, I'd have maybe hundreds of pieces of paper with handwritten feedback saying that I was a wonderful speaker. So I took pictures of these and again, added it to my website, added it to my social media. And I found that the yeses were coming a bit more often just because I was building up this presence. So over a period of time of doing this, it allowed me to start this speaking engine and get it revving and get it going. And I think that's one of the main things that new speakers sometimes fail at, is understanding it's a long game that we're playing. It's not just, I want to be a speaker, I'm going to be a speaker by tomorrow or next week. You have to spend time building yourself up over a long period of time. So by me doing that, it allowed me to then bridge over and start my company and for it to actually take off. But it wasn't just from the point of me starting the company, it was all the years beforehand of learning the art of storytelling, understanding what works with an audience, what doesn't work with an audience, what language to use with people, what words not to use in front of a large audience because it could have an impact on people in a negative way. So I loved learning all the little details about how to really, really, really make this work.
I love it. I love that journey. I love that story. And on that note, I'm sure there were times where the feedback really sort of, as we call it, feedback, you feed forward, and you could really feed forward into taking some of that feedback, which was hopefully very constructive, and give you that extra edge in building your confidence and building your talks accordingly. And this is something which really stood out for me when we spoke about 6 weeks ago. You're not just one of those people who go out there and get people to jump and shout and go crazy and stuff. You've got a beautiful way of conveying a message to your audience through your talks. I'd love you just to give us a brief insight into how you go about doing that.
Yeah. So when I get called a motivational speaker, I sometimes find it a bit cringy because in my mind, when I hear the word motivational speaker, like you said, I think of, right, everybody on your feet, we could do this, believe and achieve. If I could do it, you could do it. But that doesn't really connect with people. That's kind of wishy-washy, and you can find Instagram quotes on that kind of stuff. People really want to know the deeper layers or how to really connect with an audience. And I found that the best way to connect with an audience is to draw different emotions throughout the presentation. So with my presentation, for example, if I was speaking for 45 minutes, I want there to be happy parts. I want there to be funny parts. I want there to be parts where people are really thinking. I want there to be parts where some people may even shed a tear. And then at the end, I want people to feel uplifted and inspired. So I think going on that journey of the ups and the downs, and at the end feeling uplifted, that's what makes people really connect with your journey and what you're sharing. So it's not just, I did this, I did that, I did that, I did that, believe and achieve, go out and do it, because it doesn't stick. So getting emotions and drawing emotions from people, that's how you get them on board. And I find that what works for me is just using a normal conversational voice. So I don't over amplify myself. I don't run around the stage. I don't do any of that stuff. I just engage people as if I'm talking to my friends. And I think that works really, really well.
Amazing. And I know you shared with us some insights into how one can actually go about launching their business, actually not just in speaking, but just how you went on and built your own website, and you offered yourself for gigs that would often pay you or may not pay you, and you got your name and presence out there, but you also got incredible footage and photography. And I think this is something that makes you stand out. I know for a fact it makes you stand out. It gives you that wonderful reputation. It gives you that opportunity to show that authentic side of you, and therefore people sort of are drawn to engaging with you. And I just think that little bit of insight into, and I know we're only just scratching the surface because time is not on our side, but I just loved hearing how that real serious persistence and perseverance just drove you to take you to where you've managed to get to. And I know right now you run a very successful organization. You not only go around the world speaking, but you also run an academy to give people these tools to become very, very good speakers and lose that fear of speaking and build their confidence. And this is something, as a speaker, how do you sort of maintain your own motivation and positivity on a daily basis, giving you that drive and coming up with new material and that sort of thing?
It goes back to what I was saying of grounding myself. So telling myself that life is not forever. What do I want to do and how do I want to help people? And then just putting together the sort of diagram or the brain dump of what I can do and how I could do it really, really well. And going back to speaking and where it picked up, what I've learned is it's not just me doing a good job on the stage. It's every part of the build up, the beforehand, the during, and the after the presentation. So I have to put myself in the shoes of the event organizer. So event organizers, one day before the event, they're nervous. They're thinking, what happens if catering doesn't show up? What happens if the speaker doesn't show up? So there's a sport called curling. Some of you have seen it before. It's where somebody has a big rock with a handle and they roll it down a long plane of ice. And then there's two people with brooms and they sweep in front of this rock as it goes down the ice to get closer to the target point down at the end. So I see myself as one of those sweepers. I'm trying to clear the path of the event organizer. So the night before the event, just drop them a text message. Hey, just to let you know, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. As simple as that. Because what that does, it allows the event organizer to not worry about you. Okay, I know the speaker's coming. I don't need to worry about the speaker. So then on the day of the event, just drop them another message. Hey, just to let you know, I'm on my way, but I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to be an hour early. I hope you don't mind. Of course they don't mind because you're an hour early. They know the speaker has arrived. And what I tend to do is arrive first thing in the morning so I can help the event team set up. Okay, I know you're very busy. You can get on with all of that stuff. Give me the pull-up banners and I'll help you put up the pull-up banners. So now I'm part of the team. And in that way, they have more confidence in you. And then when it comes to being on the stage, I go out there and try to do a phenomenal job every single time. After, I stay around and I speak with the audience members just to hear their stories as well. Not just all about me. And the more I found in my speaking journey, I care less about me and I care more about the audience. I want to hear their stories because the more I hear, the more I can understand people, the world a little bit more. And then I can implement what I've learned from people back into my presentation. So then after the event, just a wrap up email just to say, do you know what? Thank you so much for having me on board. I really enjoyed the day and I hope that the team enjoyed it too. So now, because before, during, and after the presentation has been very, very sort of smooth sailing, I understand also event organizers, they may not stay in that role forever. They may go and work at a different company. And if they now work at a different company and they've got an event to run and they're looking for a speaker, who are they more likely to pick? Maybe Anthony, because he's been very on point throughout the whole process. So it's not about me just as a speaker. It's about what can I give to the event organizer and the team that are putting on this conference that they put a lot of time and effort into. So seeing it from their perspective and seeing where I can help them along the journey as well. And then that way you get referred more. People will want to book you again because they see just how well you are. You're very good at communicating to you. So there's loads of different aspects about becoming better at speaking and going on that journey. It's not just about getting a great presentation. It's about how you treat people as well.
I love that, how you treat people. In a world where you can be anything, just be kind. And
yeah,
it's on one of our mugs in our organization. And what resonates with me here, for those people out there listening or will be listening, this is how you build rapport and this is how you build advocates for yourself. For the first person they're going to think about is Anthony, because he's gone above and beyond. He hasn't just promised, he's actually over-delivered.
Yeah,
he's over-delivered. And I just think that approach is something that I just wish more and more people would adopt and not have the that's my job and that's the only job I do. I stick to that and it's not my job attitude. And I think that's where you stand out. That's where people listening to this, if you just go above and beyond and make an effort every single day to do a little bit extra, bang, something will give, someone will notice, and
Yeah.
that could just change your life.
And it feels good helping people. Like, for example, when I went to your son's school, I was there very early and I was helping to put out all the medals and awards on the table just because I like being busy. I like helping people. And it's just feel good. You get to have conversations with people and you get to sort of have some jokes as well, a bit of banter, and it just makes the day flow. Then at the end of the day, you can look back and say, do you know what? I really enjoyed today. It's been fun. I've met some people. We've had a good laugh and the outcome has been successful. Just by not being egotistical. And what I do find in the speaking industry is there's a lot of ego involved. I'm the speaker. I'm on the stage speaking to everybody else. So don't really care about anybody else because I am the big important speaker. But I think that's the wrong approach. You have to be on ground level all the time and be very grateful for the opportunities that you have as a speaker because it can come and go at any moment.
Absolutely, Anthony. I love that. On that particular note, tell me, you've traveled the world. You've been on various stages around the world. You've been into various boardrooms and classrooms, but is there a memorable experience or a little hint of feedback that you've received on this journey that you would be kind enough to share with us? One or two standout bits of memory. I'm sure you've got wonderful memories wherever you go, but just something that maybe really stands out for you.
Yeah, you just saying that gave me goosebumps because it's phenomenal, this journey. And I'm very, very, very grateful that I've got the opportunity to travel and to speak with other people. Because what I find fascinating is because I share my story, at the end of a conference, people will approach me and then open up about what they've been through. So again, it's helped me to understand people a lot more, what people are going through, because surface level, we don't see that. We just see face value when we meet people. We don't know what they've been through, what they're going through, or what life may have for them later on down the line. So hearing people say things like, I don't know what I can say online, but that they were in a very, very dark place and was on the verge of, at the end of the sentence going to be. But by just hearing what I've said and what I've gone through and how I've overcome that, it's given them a little bit more oomph to want to carry on, to push on. I've had parents ask me if I can have a call with their children or family members just to give them a bit more inspiration. And I love just people trust me, to help inspire and help other people as well. I've heard people share that they've gone through similar things or that they are currently going through maybe terminal illnesses. So people really, really open up to me. So it's just I'm stumbling on my words because it just really affects me, but in a positive way, to know that what I'm doing is affecting people in a positive way, in the sense that they want to share their life stories as well. So one of the highlights is just when people say to me, do you know what, that really affected me? I'm going to go for that jog tonight. I'm going to spend more time with my daughter or my son because I've been too focused on work and I need to spend more time with my family. So just any conversation where people have that click moment where they've been living life in an automatic mode, where they wake up, go to work, come home, scroll, eat, go to sleep, wake up, and realizing that they're not really feeling their way through life. So taking that step back, analyzing their lives and thinking, I want to make a change. There was one man that said that he found that he was neglecting his family because he was so focused on his work, and he was putting on weight because he wasn't looking after his own health. And he messaged me on LinkedIn a week later saying that he runs daily. He's cut out time in the evenings for his family where they have no phones and they actually get on with, whether it's building a puzzle together or doing something or just hearing each other's days and how their day has been and things like that. So I always think back to these people and I just always hope that it lasts and that it's changed them for the better. So yeah, just hearing stories of people wanting to change their lives in a positive way, that really, really affects me.
Gee, yeah, absolutely. That one opportunity just to share one or two little bits of insight into your life can give another person such an amazing trigger to really hopefully get rid of some of the demons that are facing them and the way their mindset is. And on that particular note, again, when it comes to people who have health challenges or, again, personal setbacks, what sort of guidance would you sort of pass on or share with someone in those sort of circumstances?
To focus on time, because when we're in a dark place or in a negative place, we tend to think it'll last a long time, if not forever, because it's quite an intense feeling. When we're feeling great about ourselves, we tend to think it will last a very long time, if not forever, because it's quite an intense feeling. But if you were to look at yourself when you were, say, 10 years old, and you were looking back at when you were 5, you're different. You've changed. You've grown. You're a bit smarter, wiser. If you look at when you're 15 years old, looking back at when you were 10, you've changed. When you're 20, looking back at 15. When you're 25, looking back at 20. So every 5 or so years, we develop into a newer version of ourselves. And everything we take on board within that time frame, who we speak with, how long we speak with these people for, what we read, what we listen to, what we watch, what we pay attention to, that helps us to develop into the newer version of ourselves that we will become. So understand that life is a long timeline, hopefully for all of us. So wherever you are and whatever you're feeling currently, it's temporary. It won't last forever in this stage because we go through the ups and the downs. Life for nobody goes like this, and life for nobody goes like this. Life is a little bit more like a heartbeat monitor where it goes up and down throughout the duration of life. So when you're in a low place, understand the only way is up. When you're having a great time or you've achieved something phenomenal, understand it's temporary, but just to soak in all of that feeling of feeling good so you can always reflect on it later on in life when you may be in a low place again. So even though I was labeled one of the happiest people in the UK in 2015, it doesn't mean that every day is a happy, glorious day and I'm just happy, smiling all the time. I'm a human being, just like every single one of us. We go through ups and downs. But what I love about the ups and downs, or the yin and yang of life, is we can learn from both sides of it. When I went through the near-death experience, there's so much that I've learned from it, and I wouldn't change it for the world because it's changed me into a different version of myself that I'm quite proud of now. My life could have went in any direction, negative too, but it's gone in a more positive flow. So I'm very grateful for that, seriously negative time in my life. When I'm achieving bigger things, when I've done my first ever talk in Australia, I was on a stage and I felt just magical. But I understood it's not going to last forever. So in that moment, I told myself, just soak it all in, just so I could remember this feeling, the smell of the stage, how tight people hug when they greet you in Australia, what the animals look like over there. Just take it all in, because life will just constantly give us lessons through our highs and our lows. So don't always get stuck in that one place thinking, because I'm feeling like this now, it will last forever, because it won't.
That is so true. And that's something we convey in all our sort of lessons and coaching programs, whether it's a 6-year-old and the oldest person that's walked through the door is 74 years old. No one's just had plain sailing. There will be curveballs, there will be corners, bends, ups, downs, and that sort of thing. But the most important thing, and I've been there, we all go through this, is as you said, is to, bite-sized chunks, eat that elephant one bite at a time, and realize that it's not permanent. And it is something, that we as human beings, I think we look at, as I mentioned earlier, the tidal wave scenario, whereas if we do break it down into pockets, we can then start to sort of, I suppose, just at least take one step closer to hopefully coming to some form of recovery or picking ourselves up. And I love your idea and the heart rate monitor scenario, and that is just such a great way of putting it, and it's a lovely way to see it. And talking of that, with regard to heart rate monitors, with your career, it's obviously a career you've been building over a period of time now.
Yep.
With regard to where you're at as someone who goes out there and uplifts people and gives people this sort of inspiration, you give them hope, as an advocate of building people up into and giving them that trigger to hopefully leave from meeting you with a bigger and better spring in their step. What are some of your current projects and future goals that you are focusing on at the moment?
So I always naturally look for themes or repetition in life, patterns. And what I've noticed in the speaking side of my life is people say the same thing to me, and I'll constantly hear, I could never do what you do. I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what to do. But these people have incredible stories. And I keep thinking to myself, they need to be on a stage. They need to inspire. They've got such a personality, but they just cancel themselves out. Say, no, I can't do it. And it's like, I see it as a waste. So where I've seen this happen so often all the time, everywhere I go, I've now decided that I'm in a place now where I've learned quite a lot over the years of speaking. I've got a successful company speaking. I travel around. I do things that people would like to do. So now I want to teach others how to do what I do. So it's like the phrase where people say, teaching people how to fish. I know how to catch fish. I want to now teach you how to catch fish. So as you mentioned earlier, I'm putting together an online course to teach people everything they will need to know on how to build their own speaking company, get booked, and make a living out of it. So this should be released later on this year. And I'm really excited because I just want to see people that have these dreams of being on a stage go through the process. Understanding it's not a rush job where they will be a speaker by next week or the next month, but starting the journey and then carrying it on over a course of years and learning the art of storytelling, because I think that's very important. You can get people that are maybe ex-Olympians and now they've retired, they're going to speaking, but they might not be able to connect with an audience. Sure, they've achieved a lot, but how do they convey their story in a way that has people on the edge of their seats thinking, I want to do that, I want to do that, based on how the story has been told. So I want to teach people the art of storytelling, how to build a business, how to get a website, how to reach out to people and do it the right way, instead of just rushing it and saying, I'm a speaker, let me go and do it. And then it just doesn't work. I want it to work for people. So I've been putting this together for a while now, but focusing on all the elements, all the questions that people have been asking me and packaging it together so they can become a speaker.
Wonderful. There are so many people out there who are so fearful, and given the right tools, it's like anything, given the right tools, but also finding the right master, a person that resonates with you. And you are so easy to resonate with, Anthony. And by the way, I'd love the opportunity to promote your speaking course as and when it gets launched. So you have an ally here who will support you all the way through on that front. And talking of that, Anthony, I would imagine this is part of your legacy, that you are on this journey. So creating some powerful course that people can take on board to build their confidence in presenting themselves correctly. Are there any other sort of scenarios of a legacy that you would like to sort of leave and with your personal story and what you've achieved thus far?
I think just going down as a person that likes to help people, someone that is always there to listen and to find the gap on where somebody needs improvement and just helping them along that little bit of journey. I don't want to fix everybody's lives because life is quite complicated, but if anyone could take something from me, apply it to their lives that helps them, even if it's by 1, 2, 5%, that's all that matters to me. You know, going through life, and when you get into your later stages of life, like me, where I'm an old man now, you tend to start thinking about things in a different way. And I just want to give. I want to give, whether it's helping charities, whether it's helping people to gain confidence, just giving people that little spark so they can go out into the world and become better versions of themselves. And I don't want anything in return. I just naturally want to give to people. So that's why I always put in, for example, with my speaking, another thing is it's not always about the money. With me, it's about splitting myself into different areas. One being education. With schools, I will do it happily for free because I want to help the younger generation. I think they've got the hardest times worth of in terms of living because of social media and all the influence they have from all different directions. So I would happily go in and just help the younger generation. With healthcare, these people work tirelessly day in, day out, and they are there to help people. So again, I want to help these people. There's not a lot of funding in our National Health Service, the NHS, so I'll happily help these people. The other pocket is corporate. There's a little bit more money, so that's where the bread and butter comes from. So I like to split myself very evenly. So my career is just not about chasing money, because when you just go in to chase money, you don't have that happiness, fulfillment feeling within. So just knowing that you naturally want to help people, that helps me to stay grounded and want to continue this legacy of just helping other people as and where I can. If anyone contacts me and says that they want to get into speaking, I will always put aside half an hour to jump on a virtual call just to have that initial conversation and to give anything and everything I can to help that person along the way. And I find that just by naturally being a person that gives, the universe works in this weird way where it gives back to you. And I used to always think this was wizardry, magical words. But as I got into speaking and did that, I noticed that over a couple of years, people would come back to me and say, oh, do you know what? You was amazing. Do you mind speaking at this conference? Or we've got 7 other different conferences going on. We'd love for you to lead each and every single one of them. All just because I went out just to give without wanting to receive anything in return.
I love it. Love it. That is so true. We've got to give. the return will come. And even if you're giving now and it doesn't serve you, it'll serve people that are part of your family and part of your life in the future. So I'm a big believer and advocate of that. And talking of giving, you've obviously a big fan, and I know you support Great Ormond Street. Are there any other charities or organizations that you're passionate about supporting, Anthony?
Well, Great Ormond Street is my number one because they've saved my life. So I've always got all the time in the world for Great Ormond Street. I recently done a talk with, it was at a charity conference. So there's many different charities from all over the UK and they came together in one place. And again, if charities reach out to me, I'm happy to help any charity out there because they are out there to help people. So yeah, whether it's the Donkey Sanctuary, whether it's to help people with pets, whether it's to help the blind, I don't sort of cross off that people saying I don't want to help that charity and I will help that charity. Any charity, because it's for the sake of good, I will definitely put a time aside to help the charities. Also hospices. My mum, she sadly passed away in 2021. She spent the last of her weeks in the hospice. So seeing the incredible work that goes on within those settings, any hospice out there that wants to have me speak, I will happily go out and do that for free of charge because the work that goes on within those places is absolutely incredible. They deal with the other side of life that we don't see as regular people. They see the real details of life and the emotions of life, and it sometimes can be hard for the people that work there. So I would definitely want to help inspire these people that work in these not conditions but environments where the emotions can go up and down. Because sometimes we wake up and we think, am I doing the right thing? Am I being seen? Am I being thanked by my manager for the work that I do, for going above and beyond? So I want to be that person that steps in and says, you know what, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you for the work that you've done to help people, that you've done to help people before, during, and after. So no matter what charity it is, I'll always have time for charities.
I love that. Absolutely powerful. Now, on a note that's slightly lighter, what do you do? What are some of your little hobbies and activities that you love doing?
There's a couple. So in England, football is a big sport for us, but I don't know the first thing about football. And my wife loves that because I don't spend time in the pub watching football for long periods of time. I actually really enjoy fishing. I love carp fishing, catfish fishing, mackerel fishing. I like flying I've got a stunt kite. So the stunt kite is quite big and it sometimes takes me off my feet. And I love those sort of things where I could just zone out from life a little bit and just enjoy doing something where I'm challenging myself. So yeah, little sports like that. Fishing and flying my kite. And just spending time with my daughter as well. My daughter, she melts my heart every day. So if I could spend just every moment just with her, just hanging out with her, I would do.
She's very blessed, and I know your wife's incredibly blessed to have you. And I believe you're both expecting a new addition to the family in the very near future, which is hugely exciting. And I'm going to be obviously, hopefully, one of the first people to hear about the beautiful new arrival. And Anthony, our time has galloped away. So I know our beautiful producer Heather is going to pop up your contact details on the screen here. But while she's preparing that and doing that, if you could take yourself back to your younger self, what's the one piece of advice that you would give yourself? What is the one piece of advice and what would it be? Share with us something along those lines, please.
So it would be about the voices in my head or our heads. And this is something that I include in my presentation. So I'd love to share it with you guys. It's what I call the dreamer and the puller-backer. So in our heads, for some of us have multiple voices. I have two. Some of you may have more. Some of you may have less. One voice I have is called my dreamer. That's that voice that says things like, I wonder what it'll be like if. Imagine if I had the opportunity to. How cool would it be if I could create? But then we've got this other voice, which I call the puller-backer. We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. I'll do the gym another day. And it tries to talk us out of things. So for a lot of people, that puller-backer voice is the more dominant voice in our heads. But the more you work with your dreamer, the more you set yourself a challenge, whether it's I'm going to go for a run today. And instead of running 5K, I'm going to run 6K. Once you finish that 6K, you get that little buzz, that feeling of, I did it. That felt good. And what that does, that grows your dreamer voice a little bit bigger. You start to believe in yourself a little bit more. So through life, pay attention to those voices in your heads. Is it your dreamer? Is it your puller-backer? Because one voice wants you sitting or standing still with nothing changing. And one voice has always got your back to the very end. Now, as we know, Life happens to us. You may go through an event where your dreamer voice shrinks, but over a period of time, always about time, not quick wins, over time, you can grow that dreamer voice to work with you and grow bigger than that puller backer voice. And that's what's happened to me since I came out of hospital. I no longer have that negative voice of, oh, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough. I'm always working with myself. I'm always best friends with myself. I don't call myself names or beat myself up. If I mess up with something, I analyze it. Where did I go wrong? How can I do it better next time? And then I say, right, let's go. So always try to work with yourself rather than against yourself. And what you'll find is over a period of time, 5 years, remember, you'll develop into a newer version of yourself and you'll be very proud of yourself because you're working with that voice that wants the best for you. So once you grow that big and strong, you will be unstoppable.
Boom. Love it. And for those amazing people out there listening and watching and hearing us, if you are hearing us on the radio, then Anthony is contactable at inquiries@iamantbennett.com. His Instagram is @iamantbennett. Okay, the X account as well. And please reach out to Anthony if there's anything you desire, require. This is one incredible human being. You are the most generous person, not only with sharing this amazing knowledge, but with your amazing time. And as you said earlier, along with our health, and time is our biggest gift indeed. We all get given 86,400 seconds every single sense of the day. And time will not do any refunds on any level. So you are just a gift to the world. And that is absolutely, I know, going to long outlive you on the for generations to come on what you've achieved, Anthony, and what you have delivered thus far in the short space of your life. And from the British School of Excellence, has been an honor. And I know for a fact that our listeners and people out there have gained so much insight into what you had to share today. And I can only say thank you. And I can't wait to catch up with you very soon.
It's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you for having me on board. And like you said earlier, time has flown. I've just looked at the clock and I can't believe time has gone so quickly. So it's been amazing. So it's been amazing. So thank you so much for having me on board, and love to everybody else that's listening or watching. Thank you for your time too.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, 50 odd minutes have just swooshed away from us. And if you can pass this amazing, wonderful show on to people that you love and care for, spread the word of what USA Global TV is doing for the world. It's an incredible platform. Dr. Jacqueline produces something like 36 to 40 shows a week, along with her colleague Heather. They do an amazing job. And I know as an organization, we are hugely grateful to be featured on this platform. And look out for new announcements. We've got our Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire coming up in latter part of August again. And every Friday, we have the Power of Etiquette and Manners at 3 p.m. British Summer Time. So enjoy the rest of what's left of this week and keep staying focused, be true to yourself, and take one step at a time. Thank you so much.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip SYKES and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the Secrets of Visual Impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.